me, Miss Booksy. Today's videos are super big and super small. They're all about things that are big and small. You know, like how the beanstalk from Jack and the Beanstalk is so ginormous, and how Thumbelina is so tiny, or Drew and the abominable snowman. First up, we have Jack and the Beanstalk. Oh, this was so much fun. Remember how I was bouncing on the magical leaves up to the giant's house? That was so awesome. Hi kids, it's Cool School Story Time. Miss Booksy here. Is everybody ready?
Yeah!
You don't sound ready. I said, is everybody ready?
Yeah!
Great. Today's story is Jack and the Beanstalk. Once upon a time, there was a girl named Jack. So Jackie, that's me. I lived with my mom. To make our living, we had a cow whose milk we sold for money. Let's just say we weren't rich. One day, Bessie stopped making milk. She was an old cow, ready for retirement. Maybe she wanted to move to Florida. She had some friends down there, fulfilling their milk bucket list. Mom told me we would have to sell Bessie. We had no choice. So the next day, I led my dear old friend, Bessie, to the town square. On the way, we ran into an old wolf who told me he'd love to take Bessie.
May I offer an interesting trade for your bovine friend there?
No, sir. I need to sell her.
Okay. I guess you don't want these magic beans.
What kind of beans? Because I don't like lima beans or pinto beans.
I said magic beans, kid. They're totally magic and are worth more than you're ever gonna get for that old dried up cow. If you're not interested in these very valuable, very magical, exotic, and definitely totally real beans, I'll find someone else.
I'll take them. Wow, with magic beans, I could.
What?
Oh no, I didn't ask how they worked. Oh man. I got home and hoped my mom would just forget about the whole selling Bessie thing. I would just play it cool. Yeah.
Magic beans? There's no such thing as magic!
She was right. What were we supposed to do with 3 little beans? I tossed the beans out the window and headed up to bed. But that night, something amazing, dare I say magical, happened. A giant beanstalk had grown outside our window. What else do you do when you see a giant beanstalk? You climb it, duh. At the very tip top, just above the clouds, I saw a yard and a house. A big house. I was hungry for breakfast, and I figured a big house like that would have some really big snacks. No puny fun-sized candy bars here. I let myself into the giant house. Gosh, who lived here? A whole NBA team? There was a maid inside. She was normal size. What was she doing in such a giant house?
I'll give you some table scraps, and then off with you.
She gave me a bit of bread. It looked like a big crumb, like a crumb from a giant sandwich. I stuffed the big breadcrumb into my knapsack, and just as I was about to leave, I heard,
Fee-fi-foo thinner. I think I smell my dinner.
I hid, and I just saw the most giantest giant imaginable come in. Ruh-roh, was I for dinner? Also, not to nitpick, but it's technically breakfast time. But back to the issue at hand. There was a giant! He started to count a bunch of gold coins. He must have had like 1,000,000, nay, a jillion. I waited until the giant got up to go to the bathroom to take a giant bath. I grabbed a sack of gold and hightailed it to the beanstalk. Listen, I know stealing is wrong, but I thought maybe it would be okay because he had so many coins. He wouldn't mind. So I showed my mother.
Young lady, you march back up there and give that man back his gold. There's no such thing as giants.
So the next day, I went back up the beanstalk. I decided I would just leave the coins by the doorstep. And I saw the strangest thing, a golden goose, and it was laying golden eggs. Oh, Mom would never believe this. So I took a picture with my iPhone. She'd have to believe me now. I picked up one egg to get a few shots with me holding it. And then the goose started honking like a traffic jam. I had to scoot. Oh boy. Then I heard,
Fee-fi-fo fees. Who the heck is bothering me goose?
I had to get out of there. Why was I messing around on a giant's turf? I ran for it and skedaddled down the stalk. Unfortunately, I still had the egg. Oh, blarg. Mom saw it and told me to return it.
There's no such thing as a golden goose. That egg is just a decoration. I've seen one just like it at Macy's.
But I had an iPhone photo. So up I went. I was going to just set down the egg and leave. Simple as that. But then I saw the coolest treasure ever. A golden guitar. It started playing by itself. Cool. Wait a second, I recognize this guitar. I had seen a TV news story about Professor Science, a nice but strange inventor / scientist guy who lived in our town. He had made a golden guitar. It was a gift for the mayor. It was on the news because it had been stolen. Wait a second, I'm not a thief. The giant's the thief! I was just gonna leave and call the police, but the guitar started playing again, loud. Darn rock and roll. I ran like a cheetah. The giant! He started to chase me! Oh! He followed me right down the beanstalk! And that silly gold guitar was still twanging and riffing and totally shredding. My mom and some other townsfolk heard the racket and gathered around the beanstalk. Then my mom, one of the most gentle, nicest, sweetest little ladies in the world, she started chopping down the stalk with an axe. Wait till I get down there, Ma! I got close to the bottom and jumped. Just as she yelled, and thud, the giant fell. I told the townspeople about the stolen treasure up the beanstalk. The police arrested the giant and the fire department extended their ladders all the way up to the sky to go get the rest of the gold stuff. The mayor gave me a reward and we used it to buy a new cow. And my mom finally believed me that giants, golden geese, and magic are all real. It was a happy ending. And that's the end.
Hi guys, my name is Judy.
And I'm Benji.
And these are our baby bears, Kira and Mia of It's Judy's Life. And today we're here at Cool School for the Story Circle.
And today we're gonna be reading you Jack and the Beanstalk.
You guys ready? Once upon a time, there was a boy named Jack. Jack lived with his mom in a small town where nothing exciting ever happened. It was so boring that the #1 pastime was watching paint dry. Every Saturday, Jack's mom would send him to the market in a neighboring town to get groceries. This particular Saturday, Jack went and spent all the grocery money on just 3 little beans.
These are no ordinary beans, they're magic beans. Do you like magic?
Yeah!
Well, then you're gonna love these beans.
And just like that, he snatched Jack's money and was gone in a puff of smoke. He did disappear like a magician, so the beans must be magical. Jack ran home super duper excited about the magic beans. He showed his mom. She didn't believe in magic and she scolded Jack. Then she threw the beans right out the window. But good thing she did, because that night the beans grew into a giant beanstalk. It went all the way up to the sky. Just imagine if they had grown like that inside the house. That would have been messy. This was the first exciting thing that had ever happened in their town, so everybody came to look. But Jack was the only one brave enough to climb up to the top. When he reached the very tip top, he saw a whole new world where everything was huge. It was like a place for giants. He felt so small here. He was the same size as a mouse. It was a little scary being that small, but he had to go explore. Whoa! They had a giant TV? It was like a movie theater screen. Cool! Just then the floor started to rumble. Was it an earthquake? Eek! It was a real live giant!
Fee-fi-fo-fum. I smell the feet of a little one.
Hey! My feet don't stink! Then he remembered he was very tiny compared to this giant. So maybe now wasn't the best time to argue. But the giant had already heard him. Although to him it sounded more like this. Hey! My feet don't stink! And just to be perfectly honest, Jack's feet were a little stinky. But that's beside the point. The giant had found Jack! He ran to the beanstalk. He slid down faster than that one time when he went down the big water slide at Six Flags. Phew, he made it. But not before the giants on the beanstalk, and that was bad. That was very, very bad. You see, the giants who lived up in the clouds had never had a way to get down to the earth below where all the people live. But now they had a big beanstalk to climb up and down whenever they wanted. Now Jack's town was like the giants' downstairs rec room, full of snacks and amusement. Luckily, the giants were vegetarians, so no one had to worry about being eaten. But they did have to worry about being smashed. The giants loved Jack's little town. They ran around and played tag, which caused a lot of rumbling and shaking and made a very big mess. The giants also thought the humans were adorable and they started to treat them like little pets, putting funny sweaters on them and naming them things like Mr. Fluffy and Bingo.
Pretty little pet.
We have to get rid of these giants!
Fee fi fo fum, I tickle you on your tum-tum.
Jack and the other townsfolk held a meeting to discuss how to get rid of these giants.
I say we build a giant trap. That would take weeks. How about we all just move?
We're going to have to cut down the beanstalk.
Chopping down the beanstalk does no good if the giants are still down here, squashing all the real estate and eating all the corn.
And calling me Fluffykins.
Yeah, they'd be down here forever. No thanks.
Okay, so we just have to get them all back up there at once. I have a plan. We're going to need a very big saw, a parachute, and all the cute stuff we can find. Jack's plan started with all the townspeople hiding in their basement. Jack put on the most annoyingly adorable stuff the giant had been making people wear. He put on a fuzzy sweater with a smiley face that lit up, a little hat with bells, bunny slippers, pants that had My Little Ponytail, and a bib that said, "I'm the baby, gotta love me." Then he ran out into the town square and yelled out, "Hey, look how cute I am! I am so cute! Whoever catches me gets to keep me as their pet forever!" Well, the giants thought he was so adorable. They went to scoop him up, but he was too fast.
Catch me if you can.
The giggling giants chased Jack all through town, past Jack's house, and right up the beanstalk. He ran around until the very last giant followed him up the stalk. Once they were all there, he ran to the edge of the giant world and jumped. This is where the parachute came in handy. Jack sailed through the sky, and the townspeople took that as their cue to chop. The mayor shouted, "Mr. Lumberjack, tear down that stalk!" The townspeople cheered as the stalk teetered and wobbled. The lumberjack yelled out, "Timber!" And the big beanstalk crashed to the ground. Jack landed, and everyone hoisted him up on their shoulders, chanting, "Yay, Jack! Yay, Jack!" The giant beanstalk turned the town into a huge tourist attraction. Looky-loos from all over the world wanted to come and see the big stalk and the brave hero who defeated the giants. The end.
So what did you guys think? Did you like that?
Hey guys, I'm Marissa and I'm here with the twins.
Hi.
Today we're going to be reading Thumbelina. Are you guys ready?
Yeah.
Okay, let's get started. Once upon a time, a mother had not one but two baby girls. Twins! Except you'd never know that they were twins by looking at them. One girl was the usual size of a little baby. She fit into all her onesies, her crib was just right, and she drank the expected amount of milk from her bottle. But her twin sister was, well, a little small. Uh-oh, where is she? There she is. See? Her name was Thumbelina, and she was no bigger than your pinky nail. She wore a small snip of ribbon as a dress, and she slept in a walnut shell with a single rose petal as a blanket, and her favorite plaything was a Scotty dog piece from Monopoly. Despite their difference in size, she and her twin sister Maggie grew up to be just like two peas in a pod. Well, one regular pea and one super extra tiny one. Maggie loved Thumbelina tremendously and promised that she would always protect her. Thumbelina was so tiny, she would get lost all the time, and that could be so dangerous. One time she fell into a bag of marshmallows and her grandpa almost ate her.
Eek! Sorry!
But it probably would have been okay because he didn't have any teeth. Another time, Thumbelina had been riding safely in Maggie's pocket when Maggie forgot all about her, found a quarter on the ground, and just dropped it into her pocket, right onto Thumbelina.
Hey, watch it!
There was one adventure that was the wildest of all. One time Maggie brought Thumbelina along with her to walk their dog Narlo. Narlo was very well behaved, except when someone on a skateboard rode by. There was just something about skateboards that made him crazy. And wouldn't you know it, Right on cue, bad boy Dan Markowitz was barreling towards them on his skateboard. Narlo started running after Dan, barking and jumping. Thumbelina couldn't hold on and she went flying up into the air. She landed safely on Dan's skateboard. They were whooshing along so fast she could barely hang on. Then he hit a bump and she went sailing through the air until she landed safely on the wing of a bird, a beautiful blue jay. She held on super tight and looked down at everything. The world looked so small from up there. It looked like it was just her size. The blue jay landed in his nest and Thumbelina hopped off. Mr. Blue Jay sure was surprised to see her. He told Thumbelina she was the prettiest bird he'd ever seen and asked if she could stay and be his wife.
Thanks, but no thanks. I have to go find my sister.
And before he could say anything, she jumped onto a squirrel's back and rode away. The squirrel jumped from tree to tree to tree. It was like being on a roller coaster. Finally, he stopped to gather some acorns and Thumbelina jumped off and yelled,
Thanks for the ride. Hey, I didn't know you were there. I could use a squirrely girl like you to help me gather food for the winter. Will you stay with me? Ugh, no way. I don't even like acorns.
Before he could say anything, she snapped a leaf off the tree and used it to parasol down to the ground. She landed right next to the family of field mice. The baby mice were so cute. They were singing a mouse song about cheese and peanut butter.
I like peanut butter, I like cheese. Sometimes when you eat it fast, it'll make you sneeze.
Thumbelina giggled and thought it was the sweetest thing she had ever heard. They asked Thumbelina if she could stay and help them find more cheese. Surely she had a good cheese connection. She patted them each on the head and said,
You're so cute, but I gotta go. Maybe ask a cow.
She looked all around for Maggie. How could she ever find her? She yelled, Maggie! But her voice was so tiny it sounded like this.
Thumbelina!
Thumbelina tried to call out again, but Maggie couldn't possibly hear her. The sound Thumbelina's shouts made were just too tiny and too high-pitched, just like a dog whistle, which is why Narlo's ears suddenly pricked up. Narlo could hear her. Narlo began to look for Thumbelina, sniffing and poking around in the grass, which frightened the baby field mice.
She went that way.
Narlo sniffed and snorted his way toward Thumbelina, and when he found her, he was so happy he gave her a giant slobbery puppy lick. But Thumbelina didn't care. She was just so happy to be rescued. Thumbelina and Maggie cheered and hugged, well, in their own way. Thumbelina told her sister about her adventure, the flying around, the danger, and all the little animals that wanted her to stay, and how she told them,
No way. I just had to get back to my best friend in the whole world, my sister.
And so, the two sisters were reunited safely, and they remained best friends forever and ever. The end. So what'd you think about the Thumbelina story?
Yeah, it was awesome. I liked it. It was one of the best stories ever.
Yay!
Well, hello, children, and welcome to my class. I'm Mr. Hister, and this is History of the Entire World class. Let's get started. Today's class is about something wonderful, something truly spectacular, something so painfully amazing that it makes my head feel like it might explode. And the subject for today is knights in shining armor. Oh, don't worry, girls, there's stuff in this lesson for you too. Knights in shining armor, you see, are some of the coolest parts of the Middle Ages. What are the Middle Ages, Mr. Hister, you might ask? Well, I'll tell you if you let me, anxious Annie. The Middle Ages, also known as medieval times, was a period of our history where things were very, 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 very cool, you see. There were castles instead of homes, horses instead of cars, farms instead of grocery stores, swords instead of guns, kings instead of presidents, and knights in shining armor instead of police officers. I know, it was pretty wild, you see. And these knights in shining armor, you see, would work for the king. And the king would say, I'll make sure the kingdom the kingdom is the place where everyone lived. You see, so the king would say, make sure the kingdom is in order, knights in shining armor, and the knights, you see, would do that. They would make sure everyone was behaving and make sure everyone was doing their job and doing their homework and not getting attacked by dragons or just very large lizards who breathe fire sometimes. Well, in their spare time, you see, these knights these knights in shining armor, you see, would find girlfriends. But back in their time, the girlfriends of knights, you see, would call them princesses. They were very beautiful. Very, 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 very good-looking girls. Quite often at the top of the huge tower with no doors. And they, the knights in shining armor, would take them horseback riding. They'd go to places like the beach and have a picnic, because the knights in shining armor were very good-looking as well. As are all of you. You're just good-looking kids, as they say. And the coolest part about all this, you see, is that the country of England, you see, they still have kings and queens and princesses and princes, but they don't wear armor anymore. No. You see, they just wear these tall, fuzzy hats. They look a little bit like pillows. Or pillows you could use for taking a well-deserved nap. You see, because you're working so hard. That's the bell. That's all the time we have today. So we'll see you next time. Come back now, okay?
All right, here we are. Nursery rhyme time. All right, so there's a spider. What is he? He's hairy, of course, but I mean, really, what is he? He's Itsy, right? And also Bitsy. He's an Itsy Bitsy Spider. And he decides, oh, what? I need some exercise. I want to climb this spout. It's a water spout. So he's climbing, right? Getting those 8 little legs, a little worked up, feel that burn, right? And then what happens? Not a very good day, is it? Down comes the rain, all right? It washes the spider out. What happens after it rains, kids? The sun comes out, right? It dries up all the rain. And what happens? You have an idea? It climbs right up it again. Lesson, if you're small, don't give up. Keep climbing. You might get wiped out, but hey, it's life. All right. Sum it all up, okay? Itsy Bitsy Spider climbs up the water spout. Down comes the rain and washes the spider out. But out comes the sun and dries up all the rain. And the Itsy Bitsy Spider climbs up the spout again. Learn your lessons, kids. That's how you do it.
Oh, children, and welcome back to the history of the entire world class. Now let's get started. I'm very excited today because we get to talk about trees. You see, now whether you're from China or Peru, Russia, New York City, Istanbul, Mexico, Greenland, Philadelphia Zoo, or anywhere else in the world other than the North Pole or Antarctica, there are trees. Now, why are we talking about trees, Mr. Hister, you might ask? What do trees, you see, have to do with history? Well, you see, a lot. There aren't many things in life that track their own history like us humans do. No. You see, monkeys don't have the brain for the birds, they just don't care. But trees, trees, you see, they keep track of every year they are alive. How? Well, that's what I'm getting to, you nosy Nathan. If you cut down a tree, which you really shouldn't do unless you plan to use that tree, you see, if one were to cut one down and climb up on top of it. Look down at the stump of the tree. You see, that's what we call the leftover part of the tree that's stuck in the ground. When you take the tree part away and fly by helicopter to Rockefeller Center, if you look at that stump, you will see tons and tons of rings. And each and every single ring is a record of 1 year that tree has been alive. So inside a tree, you see, is the history of the tree. Like humans, trees grow as they get older. Only humans stop growing at some point, because otherwise some of us would just be gigantic and we wouldn't be able to fit inside of our homes or schools or doorways, and we would have to eat so much food that the world would might shrivel up into a deflated beach ball shape.
Well, hey there, boys and girls. Crafty Carol here at Cool School with a brand new craft for you. Today, I am taking my inspiration from springtime, blue skies, and one of my all-time favorite creatures, the bee. We're gonna make a cute bee kite. And I'm going to use awesome little Maya the bee here as my model. All you need is a yellow piece of paper, some string, a stapler, some black paint or markers for your stripes, and whatever else you want to decorate your bee with. I've got some fuzzy yellow pipe cleaners and some googly eyes, so I'll also need some glue for that. And that's all you need. This is gonna be the easiest, flyingest, bumblebeeingest kite you ever made, I promise. Now, let's see, what time is it? Oh, I know what time it is. It's time to start making this craft. Well, okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna give our yellow paper some black bee stripes. You can use black paint or a marker. I'm gonna use this big marker here, and let's just make some stripes up and down. Bees get a bad rap, but did you know that they help flowers and plants grow? They do that with the pollen they spread around. So next time you smell a pretty flower or eat a piece of delicious fruit, you better thank a bee. Thanks, bees. Well, there we go. That's some pretty good looking bee stripes right there. So now what are we gonna do? We're just gonna flip it over, and we're gonna do the exact same thing on the other side. You are not gonna believe how easy this kite is gonna be to make. So the next thing you wanna do is just fold your paper over like this, and you're just gonna make a nice crease right here. Oh, I'm learning all about bees, how interesting. So the next thing I wanna do is add some antenna. There you go. So I'm just gonna take my pipe cleaners here and just put them right there in the front. And then I am gonna staple them in place. That's how easy it is to get your antenna in there. So the next thing you wanna do is just fold back. Don't fold it down all the way. Don't make a crease in it. You want it to be nice and loose right here. That's where it's gonna catch the wind. And then we're gonna do the exact same thing with the other side. And I'm just gonna staple that down. Now check that out. That's looking pretty good. We've almost got ourselves a kite here. So now we're gonna attach our string so our kite can fly up in the air. Kites need a string or else they just fly away and you never find them again. You know, Maya the bee is actually a perfect inspiration for our craft because kites fly way up in the sky and Maya flies through the meadow to meet new friends. So, you know, we're both flying. So I'm gonna take this little bit of string here, the same place where you stapled your ends together. And if you want some extra security there, you can tie a little knot, but I think we got it pretty strong here. And last thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna add some googly eyes, and I'm gonna put the eyes right up here. Here we go again, just waiting for glue to dry. And let's add our finishing touch here, the last googly eye. I mean, not the last googly eye ever. That would make me so sad. Well, there you have it, boys and girls. We got ourselves a bee kite here. There's just one step left. We gotta see how she flies. And there you have it, a bee kite, perfect for a warm, breezy day. You might say I'm the queen bee of crafts.
It's time for the adventures of Drew Pendus and his Mighty Pen Ultimate. After being covered in magic ink, Drew gained the superpower to draw anything that he imagines and save the day.
Good morning, class. Today we're talking about dinosaurs. Scientists have theories, but no one knows for sure how the dinosaurs disappeared all those millions of years ago.
Wow!
There was Drew in the land of the dinosaurs. He had to save the dinos from extinction. Then he saw it. A monster mega robot lizard from outer space. It was knocking over all the trees and freezing the oceans and rivers into ice.
Brrr, it's freezing.
The dinosaurs were not happy.
Hey man, you're wrecking our planet!
How are we supposed to live when you're turning everything into ice?
Yeah, it's freezing.
But the monster mega robot lizard didn't care. It just laughed like this. And then it started to freeze the dinosaurs too. Even the Tyrannosaurus Rex was defenseless against it. There was nothing he could do.
I give up. I need a blanket and some hot cocoa.
Drew knew what he had to do.
It's time for the stupendous and his mighty pen alternate. I need the horns of a triceratops, the wings of a pterodactyl, the strength of a T-Rex. Wait, no, the arms are too short. Oh, and a super shield of metal with marbles that fly out. With my awesome new super suit, I'm ready to save the dinosaurs.
First, Drew flapped his pterodactyl wings and flew towards a spaceship. He used his shield to deflect the ice coming from the monster robot alien.
Back off, monster robot alien! I'm warning you!
So Drew used his triceratop horns to break off the ice cannon. Then he shot the beams of ice back at the robot. Ah!
Okay, time for the marbles.
Whoa!
And now to finish you off, I just need a super powerful arm. Bon voyage, you lousy robot!
Drew, honey?
Yeah, Mom?
You need to clean your room.
But Mom, I'm kinda in the middle of saving the dinosaurs.
Well, you should have thought about that earlier. Clean up this instant, young man.
Ugh, okay, fine.
Uh-oh.
And that, kids, is why there are no dinosaurs around today.
Moral of the story, kids. Remember, clean your room before you start saving any dinosaurs.
Welcome back to the history of the entire world class. Today we're doing a very, very special, extraordinary history class. You see, we're gonna have to dance our way back through time quite a ways. So everybody dance, because we got a ways to go. Come on, get up and dance with me. Dance, 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 and hold. There we go. Back to the time of the dinosaurs. Whoa! Well, good thing we have our protective history bubble. There we go, no dinosaur's gonna get us.
Oh.
The reason we're back here is because we're talking about the history of the egg. Just like this one right over here. And this one's a rather large one because it's a dinosaur egg. Oh, look, it's hatching. Oh, look at that little guy. Good thing we have our protective bubble. He looks a little dangerous. If we walk right over here to the water and we put ourselves in our famous Mr. Hister submarine and we dive deep down inside the water, you'll see fish also lay eggs. So we have fish laying eggs and we have dinosaurs laying eggs. Now let me show you something different. If we dance forward in history, you'll notice that we end up right here at Old MacDonald's farm. Hello there.
Howdy.
And what do you have here on your farm, Mr. McDonald, that lays eggs?
Well, how about a chicken? Chickens lay eggs.
That's right. Eggs lay chickens. Wait a second. I think I got that backwards. That's right. Chickens lay eggs. So let me ask you something, Mr. McDonald.
What came first, the chicken or the egg? What came first, the chicken or the egg? I would have to say the egg. But a chicken had to lay the egg that came for the chicken came out of the egg, so I'd have to say the chicken. No. Chicken that laid the egg came out of an egg, so I guess it'd have to be the egg. Is this a trick question? I don't know.
And neither do I. Because if a chicken came from an egg, and an egg comes from a chicken, and a chicken comes from an egg, and that egg came from a chicken, and a chicken comes from an egg.
Hello?
Yes? What is it? Where am I?
Old McDonald's farm. E-I-E-I-O. Time for you to go.
Oh, that's right. Well, I guess there's no real answer. What came first, chicken or the egg?
Hello, kids. It's nursery rhyme time. Wow, it's the Itsy Bitsy Spider-Man. He's on patrol, looking for people who need help. First, he's visiting Humpty Dumpty.
That's weird. He's usually sitting on this wall.
Let's go see the old woman who lives in a shoe.
Her shoe house is all boarded up.
Mrs. Shoe, are you in there? Nothing. Mysterious day in nursery rhyme land. Let's check out Little Boy Blue. I don't see him.
I can't find Humpty Dumpty. I can't find the old woman who lives in the shoe. I can't even find Little Boy Blue. Where is everyone?
This is a very strange day indeed.
Something must be wrong. My spidey senses are tingling.
Wait! That haystack is shaking. Go away!
It's just me, Itsy Bitsy Spider-Man.
Oh, okay then. Little Boy Blue, what's going on here? Everyone in nursery rhyme land is missing. It's Peter. He's having a tantrum. Oh dear. What happened? Peter Pumpkin Eater had a wife and couldn't keep her. Yes, we know that part. When he came home, his wife was gone. And he got upset because he couldn't find her. And then he started flying around on a leaf, throwing pumpkins at everyone. Oh, is that what all this orange goo is? Yes! Yuck! Ah! Watch out! Here comes the pumpkin. Help! Somebody help! Look! It's the Itsy Bitsy Spider-Man. What have you done with my wife?
How should I know? Whoa! Close one. Looks like your crust is about to crumble.
That's not even that funny. So then, Itsy Bitsy Spider-Man pointed past the goblin, Peter Pumpkin Eater, and said,
"Hey, there's your wife right now."
Peter looked over his shoulder, turned his back to the Itsy Bitsy Spider-Man, which gave Spidey just enough time to spin a web around his feet and string him up in a tree, safe and sound.
Your pumpkin throwing days are over.
And just then, from around the side of the tree, came Peter Pumpkin Eater's wife.
See? I told you not to worry.
Where have you been? I've been looking all over for you.
I told you I was having a lunch with Bo Peep. I see you every Saturday.
Oh yeah. Sum it all up in a rhyming fashion. Peter Pumpkin Eater had a wife and couldn't keep her. Peter's wife went missing one morning, leaving the pumpkin without a warning. His temper couldn't have risen faster, turning the land into a disaster, throwing pumpkins at friends and kin until Itsy Bitsy Spider-Man came swooping in. He spun him up into a tree just in time for his wife to see. So at the end of the day, Peter went back to being just a pumpkin eater. And Itsy Bitsy Spider-Man saved the day so all of nursery rhyme land could laugh and play.
Get ready for a brand new adventure of Drew Pengus and his mighty penultimate. Today's adventure is Drew and the abominable snowman. Drew is at cool school learning all about Mount Everest, the tallest mountain on Earth. As he listened, he doodled pictures of himself climbing to the top of the mountain, where he would yell stuff like,
"Hey, I can see your bald spot."
and then listen for the echo.
"I can see your bald spot."
And then ski all the way down, setting the world record for the fastest skiing ever. Then his teacher said,
Mount Everest is home to many species of animals, even the endangered snow leopard. But it's also home to the mythical Yeti, aka the abominable snowman.
The abominable snowman? Sounds dangerous. Yes, I bet that's what's eating all the snow leopards.
That sounds like a job for...
The stupendous. May I go to the restroom?
Drew grabbed the bathroom keys and ran out.
Okay, I'll need to fly to Nepal and then land on Everest. So I'll draw airplane wings onto my suit. And a jet engine. Oh, and a coat. It's gonna be cold.
Drew was ready for blast off. He jetted out of school and halfway across the world to Mount Everest. Drew saw some hunters.
Hey guys! Shh! Sorry, what you doing, hunting yetis?
Yeah, be quiet, kid.
Oh cool, me too! I'm gonna save the baby snow leopards from these scary yetis.
Whatever, kid. Good luck.
You too, see ya! Shh! Sorry.
Drew trekked up the mountain looking for signs of a yeti. He looked to the left, he looked to the right, he looked up, he looked down.
Aha! Now I've got you, Mr. Yeti the Abominable Snowman. I need a giant net so I can capture him. A netty for the Yeti.
With his net in hand, Drew followed the tracks.
Hey, the footprints stop here. That must mean... Ah!
Drew pulled himself together and cast his yeti net.
Gotcha!
The hunters came running.
Hey, good job, kid. You got him.
Now we'll take him to our science lab so we can experiment on him.
You mean to see why he's so mean and why he's always eating snow leopards?
Yetis don't eat snow leopards, kid.
They're not dangerous at all. They're like giant teddy bears.
Drew thought fast. Being mean to animals is bad. Giant teddy bears are good. Drew looked at the yeti. There was an abominably big snow tear rolling down his furry yeti cheeks.
The yeti is not the bad guy. You're the bad guys. You probably hurt the baby snow leopards too.
Yeah, we're actually
evil
mad scientists!
Suddenly, Drew had a brand new mission.
I'm the stupendous, and I'll save the yeti.
Drew pulled out his penultimate and began to draw.
Get your hands off of us, kid.
Yeah, let go.
Stretchy arms, activate.
Drew's arms zoomed way out till the hunters were dangling over the side of the mountain.
Do you promise to leave the yetis alone?
We promise.
And do you promise you will never hurt another animal as long as you live?
Yes!
Call me sir.
Yes, sir!
Drew set them down at the base of the mountain.
I can see your bald spot. Stretchy arms, deactivate.
Drew helped the captured yeti out of his net. The yeti grabbed Drew and gave him an abominably huge snow hug.
Oh no, more hunters?
The yeti shook his head and smiled. It was his yeti family. There was Mom Yeti and 3 little yeti kids. And to top it off, they had a pet baby snow leopard.
Take care of the other animals up here. Okay, guys? I gotta get back to school. I was supposed to be in the bathroom this whole time.
Drew flew back to cool school.
Sorry.
Finally, I've been waiting forever.
The end. And the moral of the story is, don't believe everything you hear about yetis, and try not to take too long in the bathroom. Someone might be waiting.
My project is all about dragons. Dragons come in all different shapes and sizes, but all of them are awesome. They have wings, so they can fly through the air. They can even do tricks. Some dragons are really cute, like Toothless from How to Train Your Dragon. Aw, he doesn't have any teeth. On the other hand, in Sleeping Beauty, Maleficent turns into a dragon with a whole bunch of teeth. It's probably tougher to use a toothbrush. Some dragons breathe fire. They do this to protect their gold or because they just ate a bunch of spicy chicken wings. Why does he even need all that gold? To buy more spicy chicken wings? Other dragons breathe ice. That's handy for when your ice cream is starting to melt. Thanks. Some dragons just have bad breath. That's the scariest breath of all. Maybe he needs to brush his teeth too. There are dragons that are big enough for you to ride on. And then there are dragons that are small enough to ride on you. Most kids love dragons. My older sister even likes some called Imagine Dragons. They don't look like regular dragons. I think they're radioactive or something, like Godzilla. Godzilla likes to step on buildings. He's not really a dragon though, more of a dinosaur. We'll talk about dinosaurs later. For now, back to dragons. Dragons are used as symbols for a lot of things. Knights used to have dragons on their shields. During the Chinese New Year, you can see a dragon dance. No, not that kind of dragon dance. That's better. Some dragons are magic, but some are not. This list is starting to drag on. So in conclusion, dragons live in castles and lighthouses, up on mountains and down in caves. They can be cuter than a kitten and friendlier than a dog. Dragons can fly you to school so you don't have to take the bus. And that's why you should have a dragon as a pet.
Hiya, kiddos! It's fairy tale time. Once upon a time, there was a little chicken aptly named Chicken Little. 'Cause, as previously discussed, she was a little chicken. Chicken Little was a wee little hen who was known around the kingdom for her good advice. All the animals would come to her with their problems. Gus Van Goose would ask Chicken Little about his stories when he couldn't come up with a good ending.
How about they all lived happily ever after? Is that good?
Yes, my good goose. That's a good ending.
Lily Lizardson would ask Chicken Little about sunbathing and proper precautions to avoid sun damage.
This will help. Oh my gosh, Chicken Little, thanks so much.
And Turtle Thompson would ask Chicken Little for help when he couldn't think of a rhyme for his raps.
Change the color of his head to red. Nothing really rhymes with orange.
Oh, that's brilliant. Thanks, Chicken Little.
Chicken Little always had a solution for everything. Well, one day, Chicken Little was eating lunch under a maple tree when a squirrel rushed by with an armful of acorns. And one of these acorns fell and hit Chicken Little right smack dab in the middle of her head. Then the acorn bounced right back up and into a hole in the tree, leaving no evidence that it was ever there in the first place. Chicken Little looked around. She looked up, she looked down, she looked all around, and she couldn't put her finger on what hit her in the head. Well, Chicken Little always had an answer for everything, and so she thought long and hard.
Let's see. I'm sitting under a maple tree, and I happen to know that all maple trees grow seeds that look like tiny little helicopters. So it couldn't have been a seed, and it definitely wasn't a stick. Don't see any robin's eggs anywhere, and there's no kids with slingshots anywhere around. There's only one other thing that's up, and that's the sky. The sky must be falling.
This made Chicken Little very afraid, and there was only one thing to do: tell the king. Chicken Little packed up some of her things in a little bandana, tied it to the end of a stick, threw it over her shoulder, and hit the road.
Honk! Hey, Chickie, where are you going?
I was sitting under this tree here when a piece of the sky fell and hit me right on the head.
Oh my, that must mean... What does that mean?
That means the sky is falling, and I must go tell the king.
Wow, that's scary.
Well, Gus Van Goose was a good goose, one of the best, and so he offered to go with Chicken Little to make sure she got there okay, and delivered the very important news. But they had only traveled a few feet together when...
Hey, girlfriend! Hey, Gus Van Goose! Where are you two guys going?
You haven't heard? The sky is falling, and a big piece fell and almost squashed Chicken Little.
Whoa, that's scary.
That's what I said.
You have to tell the king. That's what I said.
And so, Lily Lizardson joined the two of them on their journey to tell the king the very important news. Well, they only made it about halfway around the lake when...
Hey-oh, Chickie Pie, you look stressed.
Oh my gosh, the sky is falling. A huge piece hit Chicken Little and almost crushed her. And we decided it's so important we have to go tell the king.
Whoa, you're gonna need some protection, girl. That is a long trip. I'll come with you.
And so the four friends traveled to the king, spreading the word as they went. They traveled over the river, through the woods, past Grandmother's house, and all the way to the king's castle. And when they got there, the king was surprised to see them.
What are all of you doing here? Shouldn't you be out in the wild?
Get this, king. The world is ending.
And what proof do you have?
A piece of the sky fell down and almost squashed us.
It fell and hit Chicken Little right here, right smack dab in the middle of the head.
May I see this piece of sky that you speak of?
Yeah. Show him the sky, chicken. Show him what you got.
Well, you see, I don't have it.
Then how do you know it was the sky? It could have been anything.
Well, there was nothing above me except for a tree, and there was nothing on the ground around me after I got hit,
And
I always have an answer for everything. So I thought real hard, and the only thing I could think of was...
that the sky was falling?
Yes, King.
Let me ask you something, Chicken Little. Do you think I always have the answers to everything?
Yes, King, of course.
Well, I don't. It's true. Sometimes things happen and I just don't have any answers as to why. And that's okay. Doesn't mean the sky is falling.
So it's okay to not have the answer sometimes?
It better be. According to the Queen, sometimes when I have the answer, I'm not always right. Sometimes the best thing to do is say, I don't know, but maybe we can figure it out together.
And so the king traveled back with Chicken Little to take a look at the tree that she had been sitting under. And after waiting around for a while, a squirrel came running by and yelled down to them,
Hey guys, did you see an acorn I dropped yesterday? I got home and counted up my loot and I was one short. I think I might have dropped it around here.
They checked inside the hole in the tree, and there was the missing acorn. The squirrel was happy, and Chicken Little was happy because she learned that the sky was not falling, and that sometimes it's okay to not know all of the answers.
But that's not the end of fairy tale time. Stay tuned to watch The Princess and the Pea.
Hello there, children. Have a seat, or stand. Do what you like. It's Cool School's fairy tale time. Our tale is one of vegetables and princesses. Yes, it's the princess and the pea. Lovely. Once upon a time, there was a very picky prince. His socks had to match his shirt or he wouldn't leave the castle. And he would only eat his peas if they were served with baby carrots and a side of ranch dressing and a pickle. Very particular. His bed pillows had to be fluffed exactly 6 times each before he could even think about going to bed. That little prince grew up, and it was time for him to find a princess and get married. But like always, he was very, very picky.
No, too tall, too short, nostrils are too big. Do you prefer dogs or cats? Wrong! I like hamsters. Next. What do you like on your pizza? Pineapple? Ew! Who do you like better, Spider-Man or the Flash? My Little Pony? Wrong answer. Can you rub your tummy and pat your head at the same time? Next!
Who does he think he is, a prince?
Well, actually, yes. Then, one night, a terrible thunderstorm was raging outside. A girl who said she was a princess but was late because of the rainstorm and a shoe falling off in a puddle and her getting a blister on a big toe. Well, anyway, she came to the castle door.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry to bother you, but it's literally raining cats and dogs out there, and I really must change into some dry clothes. Plus, the rain makes my hair like totally frizzy, and I just can't deal with that.
But the prince liked her, because he also didn't like it when his hair got frizzy. He told her to come in, and he quickly asked her the important questions one needs to ask when they're picking out a princess.
What do you like better, cats or dogs?
I prefer hamsters.
What do you like on your pizza?
What? Nothing! That would ruin the pizza.
Spider-Man or the Flash?
Duh, Spider-Man.
And she could totally rub her tummy while patting her head while standing on one foot. Wow! The prince really liked her, but he thought she was too good to be true. He just didn't believe she was actually a real princess. He did what any good prince does when he doesn't know what to do. He asked his mom, the Queen. She did a quick check on Google.
Oh yes, the classic pea test.
The Queen placed one tiny little green pea underneath the mattress in the guest bedroom. If she's a real princess, then she'd feel the pea and wouldn't be able to sleep. Just to be really extra super duper 100% positively completely sure, the Queen added another few mattresses and lots of soft feather mattress toppers and, out of habit, fluffed the pillows 6 times each. That night, the princess could not sleep at all. Perhaps it was the rainstorm outside, or maybe a bad dream, or maybe it was the pea. The next morning when they gathered for breakfast, the young lady couldn't stop yawning.
How did you sleep, my dear? Well, the room was lovely, and the pillows were like perfectly flat. But there was this huge bump like right in the middle of my back. It was terrible. I thought it was a huge rock, and it kept me tossing and turning all night. Well, I did some digging, and I found this. A pea!
A pea, you say? I quite love peas.
Oh, so do I. But only with baby carrots and a little ranch dip on the side. Maybe a pickle.
Mom, it's her. She's the one. The perfect princess.
The girl was not only a total princess, she turned out to have a megaton in common with the prince. They were both very picky, but they were very picky about all the same things, so they had to get married. Everyone at the wedding agreed they were a perfect pair. Well, not that kind of pair. Anyway, they were just like peas and carrots. With a little ranch dip, of course. Kind of a fairy tale ending, don't you think?
My cool school project is all about dinosaurs. Dinosaurs lived millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of years ago. That's a lot of years ago. The word dinosaur means terrible lizard, but I don't think they're terrible at all. I think they're cool. Okay, maybe that dino is kind of terrible. Leave some cake for the rest of us, Rex.
Sorry.
Some dinosaurs are small, like the Moosaurus. That name means mouse lizard. I wonder if the Moosaurus likes cheese. Some are big, like the Apatosaurus.
Hey, I was born this way.
Some are really, really, really big, like the Titanosaurus. The Titanosaurus was so big that scientists say she might have been as long as 2 Mack trucks and weighed as much as 14 elephants.
Okay, I'll go on a diet.
That reminds me of a joke. What time is it when a Titanosaurus sits on her fence? Time to get a new fence. The Tyrannosaurus Rex, or the T-Rex, is one of the most famously ferocious dinosaurs. But his arms are so tiny, it was probably hard for him to tie his shoes. Did you know there's another dino called the P-Rex? The P stands for Pinocchio. That's because he told so many fibs.
Of course I ate all my peas. Now what's for dessert?
He's called Pinocchio Rex because this dinosaur had a long nose, just like Pinocchio. Plus, he probably didn't eat peas at all because the P-Rex was a carnivore. Carnivores eat meat. Other dinosaurs are leaf eaters. They eat, well, leaves. And some dinosaurs eat anything, like Yoshi. You might call him a nom-nom-nomivore. Whenever Yoshi eats something, he lays an egg. Dinosaur eggs are really colorful. A Stegosaurus has spikes on his back. But what if there was a Legosaurus? He would be really colorful too. Some dinosaurs can fly, like the Pegasaurus. Just kidding, I made that one up. But the pterodactyl could fly. Even though dinosaurs lived a long time ago, we still find parts of them today. These are called fossils. There are even fossil Pokemon, like Mega Aerodactyl. Scientists can learn a lot about dinosaurs from fossils, like how big the dino was, how long ago it lived, and even how smart they were. They say the Troodon was the smartest dinosaur. Hey Troodon, what's 2 + 2?
2.
Okay, not that smart, but pretty good at ballet. Some dinosaurs were really fast, and some are really slow. To sum it all up, dinosaurs lived a super long time ago, and they were totally awesome, and they couldn't tie their shoes. If I could name my own dinosaur, I'd name it Super Awesomesaurus, or maybe just Calvin. And I'd ride around on it all day, and I'd let all my friends ride on him too. Everybody gets a dino ride.
Whoa, all those big animals were so cool. Let me know in the comments what your favorite big thing is, like your treehouse or your big brother, or your favorite small thing, like your teddy bear or cookies. I want some cookies now. I hope you loved the videos, guys. See you soon.